call this meeting to order. Our first point of business is the approval of the minutes from April 17th, 2023. I'll make a motion that we accept these minutes as written.
I second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Good evening. This is a public meeting of the City of Fountain Inn Board of Zoning Appeals. As this board is what is known as quasi-judicial body, as the board chair, I will provide an overview of how today's proceedings will take place. I will call out the docket number and applicant's name with some related information. At that time, the applicant may come forward to the podium and sign in. I will then call for any citizens or residents who oppose or support the applicant's request to come forward to the podium and sign in. The time limit for public comment is 15 minutes per item. The applicant has 5 minutes, any opposition has 5 minutes, and any support has 5 minutes. If additional time is deemed necessary by the board, it can be extended equally to each party upon motion from the board. Please be aware that if there are multiple people who would like to speak in opposition or support, they will be called to speak in the order that they signed up. And if the earlier speakers use most of all the 5 minutes, others will not get a chance to speak. When you sign in, please print legibly. Once those who wish to speak are at the front, remain standing so that you may be sworn in, then you may be seated. Once sign-in and swearing in is complete, I will ask for staff to present the case. We appreciate your participation in this process and regret that you have to wait for the board's decision letter, but this process allows the board to comply with state law, which requires that we review and approve our findings and conclusions in writing. We appreciate your patience through this process. As this is a quasi-judicial proceeding, you should behave as if you are in a courtroom. If you have cell phones or other noise-making devices, we ask that you place them on vibrate or turn them off. If you need to take a call, please step outside to carry on your conversation. If you fail to follow this rule, otherwise disrupt the proceedings, or do not follow the direction of the chair, you may be removed from the meeting, and if you are removed, you will not be allowed to return or participate further in this meeting. Would the applicant come forward and please sign in, please, at the podium? Is there anyone here in opposition of today's hearing? Anyone here in support of today's hearing that would like to speak? All right. You have to go ahead and swear in.
Would the applicant please stand? Come to podium and state your name.
Jessica Marion with K&D Signs.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly state that the evidence you give in this matter today is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
This is Fountain Inn 2023-003 BZA, request for sign variance, location 200 South Main Street. Would staff present the case, please?
This is docket FI 2023-003 BZA. The property is located at 200 South Main Street. The applicant is Jessica Marion of K&D Signs LLC. The 0.3 acre subject property consists of one parcel and is located at the intersection of Jones Street and South Main Street and currently contains two businesses, a gas station and an auto repair shop. The property is zoned C1 Commercial District. The relevant sections of the ordinance are outlined in the staff report and a summary will be presented. Previously, the applicant submitted a request that did not conform with multiple sections of the ordinance. The current proposal has been revised. Currently, there is only one section of the ordinance that the proposal does not meet. Per section 554-8.2 of the Fountain Inn zoning ordinance, no single business shall be permitted more than 2 permanent signs per business. Currently, the proposal includes 5 signs. The applicant's full proposal is included within the staff report. Lastly, per section 629-800 of the South Carolina Local Government Comprehensive Planning Enabling Act, a variance may be granted in an individual case of unnecessary hardship if the board makes and explains in writing the following findings. A, there are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property. B, these conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity. C, because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to the particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict the utilization of the property. And D, the authorization of a variance will not be of substantial detriment to adjacent property or to the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance. Madam Chair?
Thank you. Ms. Marion, would you step to the podium, please? Go ahead with your presentation, please.
Well, the report that I've got, the beginnings of it, page 10 and 11, I guess the measurements are incorrect. I have the measurements on the very last page. I think when he came up with this little Excel spreadsheet, he just guessed at some of those measurements of the existing signs. And we have the actual measurements of everything on that last sheet. So what's currently there is 246.35 square feet, not 205. But regardless, we're just asking for one extra sign and internal illumination, which he had said, the original request had said the internal illumination was not allowed, but according to this, it just says it's discouraged. So I guess that's not a variance. I just have to, it just says it's discouraged. It doesn't say it's not allowed specifically, so I don't know what we're.
According to the
55.4-816, it says internally illuminated signs are strongly discouraged. It doesn't say that they're outright prohibited.
The way the canopy is now, is that considered externally lit, or is that?
That's internally lit, but as the applicant mentioned, it's discouraged in the ordinance, but it's not outright prohibited.
Okay, thank you. Anyone have any questions for Ms. Marion?
We did reduce the square footage significantly after removing the other two signs, the BF Good Ranch and the, well, we haven't, but we will remove them.
Yeah,
So we're
they said
well
they're
under
not
the-
gone yet.
No, she said, don't touch nothing until the meeting.
So you taking down BF Goodrich and Mastercraft?
Yes, ma'am. So if 2 per business are allowed, we're only asking for a total of 5. So one of them and the freestanding sign being refaced should be approved. We're just asking for the 1 extra and internal illumination. Just because it's too hard to get to the canopy for that external goose light lamp. If wind or weather or anything moves it, you have to get equipment to get up there, boom trucks or something to get up that high to fix it, and it's notoriously unreliable. You have less issues with the internal illumination. It's not as bright. It doesn't glare on drivers. It doesn't glare into houses by accident. It really is better for a gas canopy.
I noticed as I came by today, on the canopy, there's 2 Galt signs, one on the back side and one on the front side. Are
The
those
logos,
coming
those
down?
are coming down, yep.
Okay. So what you're wanting to do is trade the Marathon sign for the Galt sign.
Yes, ma'am.
On one of your, let's see what page am I on here? Yeah, on, I guess that'd be page 2. This one here.
Yes, ma'am.
I noticed on the pumps themselves is the word Marathon on each pump.
Yeah, that's the balance. That has to be on anything, that's, the law has to be branded. Each pump has to be branded with the type of gas that's registered with the state. It has to.
Okay.
That's a weights and measures laws thing.
So you're only wanting to put up 2 Marathon signs on the canopy?
Yes, ma'am. And they would stay within the fascia. They wouldn't go above or below and just be internally illuminated.
Ms. Mann, has this sign already been approved for them to reface it?
So they are allowed to reface it as it's currently existing. It still factors into the total count of signs, though.
Okay.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
we have a little more discussion.
If anybody has any more questions for Ms. Marion? Thank you, ma'am.
So,
Oh, excuse me.
so the 3 signs are gonna be the 2 on the canopy and the sign at the road. Is
And-
that correct?
There's also 2 building signs that count, that are on the canopy by the door
Right.
and so altogether there's 5.
And then the 3rd one's gonna be the sign where your gas prices and that?
Yes, sir.
And That's what you're asking for.
Okay, all right, so the ones that are currently on the canopy on the building, take up almost the entire building fascia. They had tires and brakes and Shelley's Automotive and all this other stuff. We're taking all that and redoing it. We're gonna paint it blue and reduce the size of all that signage tremendously. Then so that counts as 2 signs, one for Shelley's and one for Galt's. And then the canopy will have 2 signs, 2 of the Marathon logos, one on each side, and then the freestanding sign by the road with the gas prices. That's 5 total.
So you're asking for 5.
Yep. It's just one more than what's supposed to be there, because you're supposed to get 2 per business.
That's just it, it's 2 per business. Galt's is gonna get all the signs, Shelley's only getting 1.
Well, the way they broke it up, they just divided it. The way that he had given it to me, it said it didn't, he just divided it 2 and 2 for each one. I see. I don't have the paper that was there before, but they said freestanding sign was Galt's, and then Galt's had 2 logos, and then they said the original Mastercraft and BF Goodwrench signs were Shelley's, and then 1 building sign for Shelley's and 1 for Galt's. How does it work?
He doesn't do that business. Tire business, that's the tire signs, he wants to be gone.
So
He's
it
only
is,
do the automotives.
so he only wants to do the automotives,
Yes,
but
he doesn't do the tires, anything.
but you only own one side?
Just a Shelley Automotive, that's it. What he has already. That's the only sign he needs.
And that was,
That's one of the front.
so he only gets, yeah. So I guess that does make sense, because that means there's more all for Galt's and none for Shelley's, instead of splitting it. He doesn't mind splitting it, though.
No.
I don't know where he's at, though.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Marion. You can have a seat.
Mhm.
Board discussion.
From what I can see here, from what I understand, they have reduced, they're below the 10% of the fascia, and they're only asking a variance for the number of signs.
And the lit, external or internal lit?
Well, it's not a variation because it's strongly discouraged, but it's not prohibited, so,
Would you repeat that? I couldn't hear you.
sorry. As far as the internal illumination is strongly discouraged, but it's not prohibited. So the variance that we're considering is for the total number of signs.
Mhm.
Is that your understanding, Madam Chair?
That's the way I understand it, yeah.
Are we correct, Ms. Nair?
That's how staff would interpret it. That's how staff would interpret it.
So we wouldn't have to approve or disapprove the lighting? Okay.
Madam Chair, may I make a motion?
Yes, ma'am?
In the case of FI 2023-003 BZA, I make a motion to approve the variance at 200 South Main Street for a variance, for the sign variance as requested based upon the following conditions. I do agree that there are extraordinary exceptional conditions pertaining to this piece of property as it is a gas station. And that it also differs from the other property around it because it's a gas station and there's different, businesses there, around it with restaurants and barber shops and stuff. And I think that, the authorization of variance would not be a substantial detriment to the adjacent property or the public good, and the character would not be harmed. In that, I think it would only enhance because it's being redone.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. It is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. This meeting is adjourned.